Hey guys, Luke06 here, and in today's video, I'll be explaining the Haki Power system from One Piece. Haki is one of the two primary power systems in the One Piece universe alongside Devil Fruits. Haki is described as a power that lets the user harness their spiritual energy and willpower and manifest it to perform abilities that are considered superhuman. Being a power harnessed from willpower, it's actually available to everyone, including all living creatures. However, most people are unaware that Haki exists and they don't know they can access it. Haki is common in the New World, rare in Paradise, and almost non-existent in the Four Blues. Haki as we know it comes in three different types, being Armament or Buto Shoku Haki, Observation or Kenbu Shoku Haki, and Conquerors or Haushoku Haki. This video will be explaining these three types in depth as well as their advanced versions and also any other information regarding to Haki as a whole. There will be timestamps in the description if there's any parts you want to skip to or skip over. So, with all that said, let's explain Haki. Armament Haki is a form of Haki that allows the user to imbue any part of themselves, or any objects they touch, with an invisible armor made from the user's spiritual energy. As seen in the manga, and more specifically the anime, someone using Armament Haki will have whatever they use it on take up a black colour, and they will sometimes have a colour tint, usually red or blue. This Haki was first confirmed to be used and stated in the series during the Sabaody Archipelago arc, when Sentomaru used the Armament Haki to attack Luffy. Armament Haki, when used, greatly increases both the user's offensive and defensive capabilities. Because of this, Armament is primarily most often used during fights to gain the upper hand. The two main base uses of Armament Haki are hardening and imbuement. Hardening, being the most basic, is where a user coats themselves, be it a specific part or the whole body, in Armament Haki. As said before, this coating increases the user's offensive and defensive capabilities, attacks become more destructive and dangerous, and the person becomes more durable to physical attacks and can use it as a safeguard. The more area the user coats in armament, the quicker they will deplete their Haki. Imbuement is basically the same as hardening, just on objects external to the person. This can be anything from weapons to clothing. This imbuement gives all of the same buffs as hardening, increasing the offensiveness of weapons, as well as increasing the weapon's durability and lifespan. Not only can imbuement be used on things the person touches, but projectile weapons and their ammo can also be imbued with Armament Haki even when launched at the target. Along with these abilities, Armament Haki has an advanced version for those who are skilled at using it. These are Emission and Internal Destruction. Emission is the flow of Haki outside the body, not carried through a medium like a weapon. Emission, as depicted, appears to be a coloured aura that appears around the body parts being emitted from. This Haki, when the user gets close to their target, unleashes a small, invisible burst, knocking back anything in the vicinity of them. This Haki is considered overall superior, both offensively and defensively to imbuement and hardening. Not only that, but this Haki allows the user to strike and harm their target without the need for physical contact. Internal Destruction is a step above emission and is currently known as the most destructive form of armament. This is done by the user using the same emission technique, but now, instead, flowing their Haki into their target, whether it be another person or an object. This causes massive internal damage to the target and can break things like exploding collars when hardening and emission could not. This Haki can be channeled into a person with or without physical contact. With extra information regarding Armament Haki, Armament is capable of nullifying Devil Fruit intangibility and body defenses, such as those granted by Logia fruits and some Paramecias. This means that somebody with Armament Haki can make contact with and injure those who would otherwise be intangible to certain types of physical attacks due to the nature of their fruit. Armament is also not a complete defense, as somebody with superior Armament Haki is more than likely to be able to overwhelm and break through the other's defense. However, this doesn't mean that the person with superior armament is always going to be victorious, as if the weaker Armament Haki user has superior physical strength, they can be the one to overwhelm them. Armament is not able to be used on a person's internal body, meaning attacks that bypass the surface level and go straight into the body cannot be reinforced as protection. In the same manner, armament as a whole is weaker to slicing and stabbing attacks than blunt ones. Armament can also be depleted and weakened if enough is used in a short period of time. The strength and amount of Haki is dependent on the user's stamina. If too much is used, then the person can become incapable of using armament for a period of time until they replenish stamina. Observation Haki is a form of Haki that gives the user a sixth sense that allows them to sense presence, strength, emotions, and intentions. Unlike Armament or Conquerors, Observation doesn't always have a clear indication of it being used, with the only sign of it being the user has a bright red glow to their eyes. However, this is mainly only the case after the Whole Cake Island arc. Observation Haki was first used in the series by Blackbeard in the Jiraiya arc, with him noting that Luffy's strength didn't correlate to his bounty, thought to be 30 million. Blackbeard also later confirmed in the Impel Down arc that he had measured Luffy's Haki in Jiraiya. Observation, because of its enhanced perception, is used a lot more diversely in an armament. Observation can be used for recon, for future predictions, in fights to dodge moves, and even to increase accuracy. For basic use, Observation can be used for presence sensing, which allows the user to sense the presence and location of others. This can include people that are too far away to see naturally, or people hidden out of sight. This is done by sensing a person's aura, rather than seeing them physically. The scale and clarity depends on how advanced the user is with it. Strength sensing, which allows the user to measure the overall strength, and more so a person's Haki, by looking at them. This is usually described as a powerful aura, and this aura can be found on both people and some weapons. This allows a person to gauge the threat level of someone without needing to engage them. Emotion sensing, which allows the user to sense the emotions and mental state of a person. Through this, the user is able to read the raw emotions of a person and is able to tell if a person may be masking or lying to them. This can be countered, however, by somebody with good acting skills. For those who awaken this type of observation subconsciously and lack control over it, may find themselves being overwhelmed by the emotions of people around them and passively empathize with them. This can cause it to be traumatic. Intent sensing allows the user to sense the person's intent to act in the immediate future, allowing them to predict a person's next move and act accordingly to it. This form of observation is highly useful in combat, as it gives the user the advantage of knowing the next attack of the other person, which they can then dodge or counterattack. Although it may seem like it, this use of observation is not future sight and is more a predictive ability that can be trained to increase accuracy. Against faster opponents, however, this form of Haki can be rendered useless if they are unable to dodge the attack. As with Armament, Observation Haki does have an advanced version for those who have trained and developed their observation to a high level. This version is called Future Sight, and as the name suggests, Future Sight gives the user the ability to see accurate mental images of events that will play out in the future. Unlike the predictive abilities of Intent Sensing, Future Sight is more often a guaranteed depiction of future events. The future is experienced from the senses of the user, and the amount they see into the future depends both on the person and the situation. From what we know, the only length of time we have as measurement is Shanks, when he saw 10 seconds into the future in a single instance with his fight against Kid. While being able to see into the future, the user cannot see the outcomes of any changes they decide to make to change the original future. With extra information regarding Observation Haki, observation is known to falter and be less effective depending on the user's mental state. The more worked up the user gets, and the less they concentrate, the less they'll be able to effectively use observation. The user can also become tunnel visioned, where they're less likely to sense threats outside of the thing or fight which they are concentrating on. Observation, both its base and advanced versions, are not a guaranteed dodge to all attacks. If the user is able to see an attack coming, they still need to have the ability to dodge the attack, otherwise they'll still be hit. Observation, like Armament, can also be depleted with overuse. Conquerors Haki is a form of Haki that allows the user to exert their willpower to intimidate and subjugate a target. As seen in the series, the use of Conquerors is most often spotted by the user emitting a powerful shockwave from their eyes. In the anime, the design of Conquerors tends to change a lot, however, most often than not they use a shockwave to signal its use. Unlike the other two types of Haki, Conquerors cannot be awakened for everyone. It's said only 1 in every several million people are born with it, and those who are said to be natural born kings and leaders. Conquerors was first used in the series by Shanks, when he used it to intimidate and scare off a Sea King who was attacking him and Luffy. This form of Haki is most often used in larger scale battles against many opponents, with the user being able to subjugate most of their targets. As well as this, the advanced version is used in fights, typically alongside Armament to increase power. The basic uses of Conquerors are domination and subjugation. Through using Conquerors, the user can temporarily dominate and intimidate the target's mind. This is seen to be most effective with animals, leading them to become fearful, docile, and tame. This can be strong enough for some users to be able to control the animal that they're using on. This can also be used to discourage people from engaging in a fight. The effectiveness of this use of Conquerors is all dependent on how strong physically and mentally the target is compared to the user. If the target has a strong will, like the user, then the effect of Conquerors can be dulled, and if the target is strong enough, they can withstand and be completely immune to the effects of Conquerors. Subjugation through Conquerors happens when the strength gap between the user and target is significant enough that the target is temporarily knocked unconscious by the force. In essence, this means that the target is deemed to be not worthy of fighting the user directly. How long the target is knocked out for and how close they are to being knocked out also depends on the target's individual strength. The area of effect of this use of Conquerors depends on the strength and willpower of the user. Luffy, just after the time skip, was able to knock out 50,000 fishmen during the Fishman Island arc. But, as stated by Oda, characters on the level of Rayleigh or Shanks could have been able to knock out all 100,000 in a single burst. Most often, Conquerors is awoken subconsciously, and for those who awaken it without knowing and lack control, can end up knocking out people they had no intention of doing. By the same manner, those who have a sufficient degree of control over it are able to funnel their Haki to specific people and leave others unaffected. When used in high amounts, or more so when two users of Conquerors clash, they can cause an enormous amount of pressure that can damage the surrounding environment. Through a clash between two users, they can generate black, thin streams of lightning that stretch around their environment and stretch up towards the sky. When the clash is especially powerful, this lightning can reach the sky and split the clouds. This is referred to as splitting the heavens. As stated before, Conquerors has an advanced form. This is known as Infusion, which works very similarly to the emission technique of Armament. With Infusion, the user coats themselves or their weapons with the aura of their Conquerors Haki. Like Armament, this increases attack power and durability just to a massively higher degree. From what we've seen so far, users of Infusion use it alongside Armament Haki to stack the strength increases together. So far, only a few people have been shown using Infusion.
Now, 君では討ち取れんような生物がざっと500体以上。
なんでいるとかいねえとか、数とかわかんだ？
覇気という力を。
With extra information regarding Haki as a whole, Haki is usually awakened by accident and used subconsciously. However, even with this being the case, the user needs to be aware and trained to use their Haki by their own will. While a basic understanding and use of Haki can be learned, the best and most efficient way of training and increasing the potency of Haki is by the user fighting against other Haki users of equal or superior strength. Haki is also considered the overall strongest power in One Piece, with Kaido stating that Devil Fruit powers aren't enough to conquer the seas, and that Haki is the only absolute power. And that's everything to cover about Haki and One Piece. If there's anything you've noticed I've missed, then feel free to leave anything I may have missed in the comment section. Also, I'm always looking for more video ideas, so leave anything you may want me to cover in the comment section. Next week's video, I'll be back to finish my 3 great Dojutsu series with the Byakugan. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate it if you can drop a like, and that's all for me, so I'll see you guys in the next video.